Brian Back is here, of course, from 89-Bit Productions. Just, doing my monthly update here, a little bit of a recap, I guess. Um, First and foremost, before we actually fully get started into the bulk of it, I just want to, make sure everybody's doing okay. I hope everybody's doing okay with the coronavirus. I know it seems to be tapering down and stuff like that, but, with everything that's going on, and, and I don't want to go into too much detail with what's going on in the world right now, and because it's just, to me, it's just very tragic. It's very sad. But I do hope that everybody's being as safe as you can be. I hope there's nothing tragic, going on in your lives. Obviously, we can't avoid everything forever, perfectly fine. There are people that are being hit by this stuff, but like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I just really hope everybody's being safe. May was kind of an interesting month, I guess, when it comes to video games in general. I mean, a couple of days ago, we had the big release of, the BioShock collection for the Switch. We had Xenoblade Chronicles come out for Switch. The Borderlands collection. A lot of stuff is coming out for Nintendo Switch right now, and it's just nuts, and PS5's coming up, the Xbox Series X is coming up, so I'm really excited for these new consoles and stuff. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I hope you all stay tuned. June 4th, I know Sony had announced that they're going to be doing a big, press event. I don't know if it's going to be big, but I mean, a press conference, so to speak, for the PS5, and so I'm very excited to see what that's going to, what that's going to all entail. June is going to be, a relatively good month. Last of Us Part 2 comes out if you're a fan of the Last of Us series. Well, that's the series now, I guess. But, if you're a fan of the first game, Last of Us 2 is coming out. I hope that if you are a fan of the game, that you didn't go and, spoil the Part 2, because there's a lot of spoilers that came out this month, and people, hacking into stuff, and, data miners and all that kind of stuff, but I just want to also say thank you to all of our fans, who do also talk a lot on the pages, like our posts, share our posts, are constantly involved. It's fantastic. We're doing the best that we can. We lost one of our members late last month. He decided to pursue other things, which is fine. I mean, we don't get paid to doing this. So we're doing the best that we can with, also having full-time jobs for some of us who are not laid off currently, families, things like that. So I do appreciate all the patience. We don't get reviews out for everything. We don't get all the stuff done that we want to get done. But we are doing the best that we can. So I do appreciate all the people that do stick around and that do talk games and do share us and stuff like that. And to some of you new people that are visiting our page, if you haven't checked it out, buried somewhere within our notes, we do have a staff page, and tells you a little bit about some of the people that do our work on stuff here at 89-Bit Productions. So I just wanted to let you know that if you're not going to go look for it and you want to know a little bit more about some of the people, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I love Mario. I do love Nintendo in general. The company I have different opinions about because of some of their decisions they've made, but I love their games. So Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, the Metroid series, just to name a few. But other game series that I get into as well as I love God of War, especially the latest one for PS4. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm a huge Sonic fan of the original Sonics and stuff that was on Sega Genesis. I'm a big retro fan in general as well. In fact, the song that you hear right now is from a game called Blast Master for the Nintendo. Love it. I'm a big fan of Shining Force, and I will talk about that in a second. But some other things that aren't game related that I'm a huge fan of. I'm a big fan of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I have a Power Rangers tattoo on my arm here, my left arm. I own all the original series on DVD. I love Digimon, the original Digimon series as well. I have all that stuff on DVD as well. So just to name a couple of things that I really do get into a lot. Shoot me messages. I love talking to some of you. I've gotten to know some of you personally. Some of you talk to me personally on Facebook through Messenger and stuff like that. They don't talk just through the page. They talk to me, which is great. I'd be more than happy to get to know some of you guys. I love games, and I love talking games with people. But on to the Shining Force subject. I bring up Shining Force because it's a game series that I've personally fallen in love with. It came out for Sega Genesis back in '92, and is an over-the-head tactical RPG like Fire Emblem. The reason why I bring it up is because I've always loved Shining Force more than Fire Emblem. Now, I'm not saying that anything's wrong with Fire Emblem, but what I don't like about Fire Emblem is it's a lot of just battle, and Shining Force is more exploration. I mean, there's battle too, obviously, but there's also magic and there's exploration, and you have to go through cities and towns and talk to people and stuff like that too. So, I actually really like Shining Force a lot. But I bring it up for a specific reason. Lately, I've been actually going through some of the games, and if you know anything about Shining Force 1 came out for the Sega Genesis, and Shining Force 2 came out a couple years later for Sega Genesis, and at the time, before the internet was a big thing, it was very, very hard to determine if the games were connected. Well, it turns out that there are a couple of games in between them, and there's one of them called Shining Force Final Conflict, and Final Conflict was only released for the Sega Game Gear, and only in Japan. Now, I do own a physical copy of the game, and I have played through it, and I know some Japanese, I know how to read some of it, so I know enough to be able to play through it. But going to my point, I guess, is I'm sick and tired of Nintendo's really weird decisions. And like I said before, you know, I love their games, but some of the decisions just boggle my mind. And what I mean by that is that Shining Force Final Conflict is only available in Japan on the Japanese eShop on the Nintendo 3DS. While in America, we got Shining Force Sword of Haja, which is another game that takes place in between Shining Force 1 and 2, and that game did originally come out in English for the Sega Game Gear. That's available on 3DS, which of course I have downloaded. But why can't I have the Final Conflict? Why are things region locked? You know, and if some of you may not know, but back in the day, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, you know, older consoles, they were region locked. That means if you have an English N64, you can only play English games. If you have a Japanese Nintendo 64, you can only play Japanese games. A lot of systems and consoles don't do that anymore, but Nintendo for some reason does. So I'm a huge collector of retro stuff and retro consoles and stuff like that, and this is a constant issue that I'm coming across, is region-locked things. And I don't want to have to go buy a Japanese 3DS and get a Japanese account to play this game. So, I don't know, just some food for thought, I guess. If you're a big retro collector, have you come across this issue as well? You know, is this something that you face as well, trying to complete collections for your video games? Let me know in the comments, you know, and if you don't, then, well, I guess this is useless. But anyway, so I hope you all are doing good. You know, that's the May update, and we will see you all again at the end of June. So I will catch you guys later. Take care.